How was your life before the pandemic?
Oh, this question is quite common on these days, don't you think? I don't know. I'm just saying that a lot of people think that this pandemic and coronavirus is over, but if you see the cases are growing again. But, anyways, mm, I think that the Lilian before the pandemic and the Lilian that I know now are quite different. They have the pros and cons. The Lilian before the pandemic, it was like she didn't have a lot of energy, and maybe she was a little sad all the time. But I think that this pandemic took us by surprise to everybody. Just to hear all the cases and people dying, it was really scary to hear that. But the good news is that a lot of people see like this was an opportunity to have more time for themselves, and I was one of those people. I started to do a lot of things, and when I say a lot of things, it's a lot of things. Well, I started learning Japanese, and even if this is also talking about the coronavirus and the pandemic, I'm still studying Japanese, and I really think that the Japanese is a hard language to learn. Also, I used to watch a lot of shows on Netflix, like K dramas or maybe anime, and I started to like a lot of things, like new things, like the habit of studying and watch anime, play new instruments, the habit of read, paint, etc. During the pandemic, like I said before, I started studying Japanese, but also Korean and English. Even if I don't know a lot of Korean, I can understand some words and I can introduce myself. I started playing some new instruments like the piano and cello. I think that I'm good at piano, but I also think that I was better than now. I'm also thankful that the pandemic brings us a lot of free time. This is when I became interested in art, more specifically on digital illustrations or digital art. Even if I knew how to draw with pencils, colors, papers, etc., I really was interested in digital art. So that's when I bought an iPad and an Apple Pencil with the help of my parents, and I started drawing on Procreate. I'm not gonna lie, I used to suck on my first drawings, but I think it's all about practice and patience. I think that now you can see the progress. I was talking a lot about myself, wasn't I? What about you?
Well, before the pandemic, I used to be in high school. I was 15 years old when the pandemic started. I remember that I was really scared about the pandemic in the start. I didn't leave my house for anything. My dad was the one who did everything related to going out. Not only did he go out to work, but he also bought pantry for the weekend of his own. I remember that I was learning Korean through the pandemic. Now I am not fluent, but at least I can read it. Also, I used to share room with my sisters in the start of the pandemic. Now I have my own room. It has been a good change. I really don't like going out too much, but my sisters were really upset about not being able to go out, so we used to watch movies almost every night so we can be calm. Sadly, because of the pandemic, I had started to feel bad when I had to socialize. It was hard for me to talk with others. I didn't feel comfortable. I will be silent for as long as the visit will stay, but now I have some of my social skills back. Now that I remember, before the pandemic, I used to go to art classes. There I learned all that I know about drawing and painting. I really miss going there. I kind of miss the days before the pandemic, but I think that it has some good things. Also, that we learned some new skills with technology through the pandemic.